All right, let's talk about something every single person using AWS runs into sooner or later. You start out clicking around in the console, which is great, but eventually you realize there has to be a better way. Well, there is. It's all about automation.
I mean, does this feel familiar? You're spinning up environments, you're managing resources, and it just feels like your day is one long series of clicks. It's slow. And honestly, it's easy to make mistakes. The good news? We can do way, way better.
So why is automation such a big deal on AWS? Well, simply put, as your environment grows, doing things by hand just doesn't scale. It becomes a huge bottleneck and, frankly, a liability. Automation isn't some fancy add-on, it's absolutely essential.
And what's really driving this is how the developer's job has changed in the cloud. You're not just writing application code anymore, right? You're often responsible for configuring the very services that your code runs on. And that shift means having efficient, powerful tools isn't a nice-to-have, it's a must-have.
Okay, so if we're going to automate, what are our tools? What's in the toolkit? Once you move past the visual console, it really boils down to two absolute powerhouses: the command line interface and the software development kits.
First up, you've got the AWS CLI. Think of this as your direct line to AWS, just text-based. It's amazing for scripting, and it also lets you peek under the hood to really understand how all these AWS services actually work. And then we've got SDKs. Now, if the CLI is for writing scripts that run around your application, SDKs are for building automation directly into your application's logic. This means you can manage AWS resources right from your own code, using languages you already know like Python or Java.
And this comparison really says it all. The console is perfect for getting a visual overview, for learning how things fit together. It's administrative. But the second you need to do something over and over again reliably and quickly, that's when you turn to the CLI. That's where the real automation power is.
So let's dig into that first big strategy, scripting. This is your go-to for flexible, custom automation. So when exactly should you be reaching for a script?
Scripting is your best friend when you need that adaptability. Think about all those little repetitive checks you do, or spinning up and tearing down a complex dev environment with one command. Or maybe you have a really custom, weird task that just doesn't fit into a pre-built box. That's where scripting shines. It's all about real-time control.
Let's make this real. In the console, if you want to create a snapshot, you have to find the volume, click it, choose Create Snapshot, fill out a form. You know the drill. With the CLI, it's just one line. AWS EC2 Create Snapshot. You tell it the volume ID, give it a description, and boom, done. That is repeatable, fast, and error-proof automation right there.
Okay, but what if your problem isn't about flexibility? What if it's about pure, raw scale? You've got these massive, repetitive data jobs that need to run. What do you do then? Well, that brings us to our second big strategy.
This is where batch processing comes in. It's built for the heavy lifting. We're talking about huge, data-centric workloads that you just want to set up and have them run automatically without you having to intervene at all. Think scheduled data transformations or massive analysis jobs.
And this really gets to the core of it. There's a trade-off, right? When you use a managed service like AWS Batch, it's amazing because it handles all the complicated stuff for you. The servers, the job queues, all of it. But that simplicity means you give up some of that fine-grained custom control that you get with a script.
So now we have these two powerful approaches on the table. We have scripting for flexible tasks and batch processing for massive, defined jobs. So the most important question is, how do you choose? How do you pick the right strategy for your problem?
This is the key question, isn't it? Scripting or batch? And it really boils down to what you're trying to solve. Are you dealing with uncertainty and a need for flexibility, or are you dealing with a predictable, large-scale problem?
And this table lays it all out perfectly. You're going to reach for scripting when you need that adaptability for those custom, real-time tasks. But you're going to choose batch processing when the job is large, repetitive, and well-defined, and you just want simplicity and scale. One is for handling uncertainty, the other is for handling sheer volume. So here's the final thought. The goal isn't to pick one and stick with it forever. The best, most sophisticated automation strategies actually combine these two. Maybe you use a flexible script to monitor a situation, and when it detects something, it kicks off a huge batch job to do the actual heavy lifting. The real magic happens when you know how to use the right tool for the right job at the right time. And that's our look at scripting versus batch processing on AWS.
Hey, if this helped clear things up for you, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with a friend, or subscribe for more. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.